Welcome to the NiFTy Chicks. I am NiFTy Cell here with my co-host, Jenna NiFTy. Hi, Jenna.
Hi.
We're excited to bring to you, this is the first official NiFTy Chicks podcast. And before we get started, I just wanted to let everybody know that's listening to this podcast, because you may have been wondering what happened to the crypto chick, Rachel Wolfson. And we just thought we would address that. We took over the Crypto Chick podcast. Rachel, has moved on and started doing other things and wasn't doing the podcast. And since we already had it all set up with the Bad Crypto podcast and the NiFTy show, it was just easier for us to take over and change that podcast and bring you guys the NiFTy Chicks. And we have done so with Rachel's blessing. In fact, I talked to her and eventually she'll probably come on this show since she is definitely still involved in crypto. So she's not gone, but Jenna and I have taken over and we're excited to start bringing you amazing women doing awesome shit in NFTs. So Jenna, do you want to talk a little bit about how we got started in NFTs and how we met and how the NiFTy Chicks came about?
Yes. So let me start actually there, because I think that's the I'm going to use a non-English word. The funnest part of the story is how we met.
Funnest is a word, I think.
I think so. I don't think that qualifies. But anyway, so we met actually. So when I moved to Puerto Rico, I heard of this thing called pickleball, and I had never heard of pickleball before. I thought it was very strange, like pickles and balls. I don't know what they have to do with each other. But then I heard that on Friday night, there was this thing called Dinks and Drinks, and the whole community gets together and they play pickleball. So I was like, okay, well, if the whole community's there, I'm going to be there too. So I show up, not having any idea what pickleball was or even how to play. And like, I'm standing there literally with a pickleball paddle being like, what do I do? Looking around like an idiot. And there you are, you spotted me and you felt bad for me. And you're like, hey, you don't know how to play pickleball, do you? I don't either. So let's join forces. So,
right. What's funny is I remember I had heard about pickleball, but I honestly thought it was like for old people, because I was hearing like all these people like in retirement communities were playing, and I thought, oh, okay, it's like an old person sport, but it's totally not.
It's not. It's so much fun.
It's so much fun.
And so we kind of sucked that first day together. So I appreciate you bringing me under your wing to suck together. That was fun. And then, yeah, I mean, after that, we had a bunch of dinners and I was picking your brain. Your partner is super into NFTs, and I was picking his brain, trying to figure out what an NFT even stood for. And here we are now, like 8 months later, I'm obsessed, and
right.
You share the same obsession as I do. And so we were like, let's share our obsession with the world.
Yes. So I totally agree with sharing our obsession with the world, and hence why we created this podcast, this YouTube video, all these things that we're working on together. Is I really feel like more and more women are getting into the space, and they honestly don't even know where to start. A lot of times there's a lot of confusing things about not only NFTs, but the world of crypto in general. I mean, there's a whole bunch of new terminology. Probably some of you don't even know what an NFT stands for or what it means, which is a non-fungible token. And do you want to give the description of what an NFT is, Jenna?
Yeah, so I think, and I've met so many people who've explained it differently, and it kind of resonates differently with how people think and what they've been exposed to. So like, I'll share kind of my experience with this and the explanation, I should say, as to what an NFT is. And that kind of resonated with me. So I'm a car girl. I love cars. Every car comes with a serial number, not a serial number, a VIN number. And it's etched into the car, right? There's no other vehicle that has that same VIN number, right? So it is identified as an individual piece. And you can't have, even though you can have a 1962 Mustang that is brown and with leather seats, you can have many of those, but there's only one that has that individual VIN number, and it is specific to the ownership of that VIN number. And so when I think of the NFTs, I think of it as art pieces, digital art pieces. As of now, it's going to grow into far more things. It already has. We've got a news article that we're going to share of it growing into the real estate world. But essentially, it's a digital art piece, a digital item that is non-fungible. And what that means is that it's not replicated. It's not interchangeable. It is individual. So each one has its own value. And you can't, unlike dollar bills, right? If you were to take out a dollar bill and I say, hey, Erin, I need $1. Can you spare me $1? You've got a wallet full of 10 $1 bills. Every single one of those $1 bills is worth the same amount. But if they're non-fungible tokens, every single one of them is worth something different. And it all has different properties, different characteristics that make it unique. Some properties and characteristics are more rare, and some are, super rare. But essentially, each art piece, each NFT is individual. It is owned by an individual, and it can't be replicated. It is just transferable, but it cannot be interchangeable. Is that kind of, does that make sense? Is that kind of how
it makes sense to me? I want to add in, just because one of the best ways that I've heard is that you as a person are non-fungible. There is nobody else out there exactly like you. Even if you're twins, you might be really close, but there's always, everybody has different experiences, different hair color, different eye color, different skin tones, whatever. There is no person that is exactly like you. And of course, each person has their own set of traits and personalities and skills and all of that. So hopefully that at least gives you a very basic definition of what an NFT is. In future shows, we're probably going to go a little bit more into that. And I guess that this just leads right into our next topic, which was just talking about this show and what to expect from the show. And that is one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to have a variety of guests on the show. Primarily, they're going to be women that are doing something in the NFT space, in the crypto space, in blockchain. They're either running NFT projects, they're artists that are creating, but we're also going to give you guys news, and we're going to do like tutorials, and hopefully try to teach you how to get started in the NFT space, how to open wallets, what an NFT is, how to research projects and figure out different things to look at, what you should be looking for, how to not get scammed by NFT scammers, because they are out there and they are everywhere. So that's kind of the gist of what to expect from the show. What else do we want to cover in this first episode of the NiFTy Chicks, or do we want to dive into the news?
I think the only thing that I would mention, and you mentioned it earlier, but I kind of want to expand on that, is why we're focusing on women. And, I've been in the finance industry for so many years, and it is full of men, most of the time with white hair, all with the same dad bod. They all look the same. This sounds so stereotypical, but that is the space that finance has become. And what I'm really excited about is like this NFT space and crypto in general is it's a new territory, right, for everyone. Even the people at the beginning, very, very, very beginning of this industry started 10 years ago. That's how old we're talking about. Like finance has been around for centuries and centuries and centuries. We're talking about an industry that has just started, and we are at the very, very, very beginning of this. And so we have an opportunity to shape and evolve like how women are portrayed in this space, which is still a finance. It's a segment of finance, right? It's a segment of finance. It's a segment of music, of art, I mean, it's a lot of worlds in one. But we have the ability to kind of pave the way of how women are portrayed in the space. And that's why I'm so excited to be kind of on the earlier side of this kind of ever evolving world, and like, highlighting women who are kicking ass in this space, who are like, you know what, F that, like, I'm diving in, I'm gonna make this shit happen. And regardless of the fact that like this is typically a male dominant industry, I'm going in 100%. Like, so that's why I'm super excited about it. And I know you are too, but that is really why we're focusing on women. There are awesome killer men in this space too, who we are excited to be friends with, to highlight and support and to invest in. But we need a space for women to be highlighted. And that is what we're trying to do here.
Definitely. So I just want to backtrack a little bit. I know we did kind of our intro video teaser, but just so everybody gets kind of a feel for us and our background and how we got into this space. So for those of you that don't know, I am the producer for the Bad Crypto podcast and the NiFTy show. And so I started as I started as social media for Bad Crypto and then evolved into the producer role. And so I've been doing that for about 4 years. So when I started, I was like, oh, okay, I can do that. And then I didn't really like dive into crypto, but then as I'm producing and editing the show and talking, you can't help but learn. And so it actually took me a while before I actually invested and bought some Bitcoin. And of course, I did it in December 2018 was when I first bought into Bitcoin. And then we had the crypto winter that happened in January 2019. So it was perfect timing to just like what felt like throw my money away. But I did what everybody says to do, and I hodled, and I still continue to buy when I can and hodl. But that's really what sparked it, was just, listening to all these amazing minds talk about the future of crypto and Bitcoin and blockchain and all the unlimited possibilities. And then the Bad Crypto podcast actually had a feature on crypto kitties. I believe it was 2017, maybe 2018. I can't remember exactly. I'll have to go look it up. I'll find it and put it in the show notes. But so they were talking about NFTs back then. And I thought, oh my God, this is so dumb. Who is going to buy a kitty like digital product that like, that's just dumb. And so I kind of blew it off. And I didn't really think much of it. And then they kept going down that rabbit hole. So Joel Comm and Travis Wright are the hosts of Bad Crypto and the NiFTy show. So that's who I'm referring to when I say they. But they're going down that rabbit hole. They decide to start the NiFTy show, and they're doing that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then all of a sudden, it hits me when Garbage Pail Kids came out that they were going to do the Garbage Pail Kids NFTs. And I was a huge Garbage Pail Kid collector when I was a kid. And I had like books, like you would buy the books to put your baseball cards in. So I had books, but Garbage Pail Kids. And I have no idea what happened to my Garbage Pail Kids from back in the day. They probably got thrown away. But anyway, when they announced, I was like, oh my God, I totally have to get in on this. I loved Garbage Pail Kids. Now it's like it finally clicked because it was something that I wanted, right?
And that you were familiar with. Yeah.
Yeah. And then from that point forward, it was like, okay. And, there were all these other projects going on. And Jenna and I talked about this offline, but there were other projects that I was like not interested in at all. Like, for example, CryptoPunks or Bored Apes. Like I was like, this is dumb. Who's going to care about this? And obviously big mistake. Like, right. I really wish I would have been paying attention a lot sooner and been able, to have the foresight to see that.
I think all of us here agree.
Yeah. But the thing is now since we decided to do this show for women, I am like all in on researching women-led projects, and I am finding so many cool projects. I can't wait. Like I'm like over the top with wanting to book us. I'm like, we're going to be booked up forever because I'm out there like, oh my God, we got to talk to this company and this project and this person. And so I'm super excited that we're able to, put this together and bring this to everybody and share our excitement for women-led projects.
Yeah. I echo everything you just said. It's super, super exciting. Can't wait.
I know. So I say, let's go ahead and dive into the news. Okay, so our first news article is that Disney is hiring NFT experts. I thought this was interesting that Disney is going to dive in to NFTs. And personally, I'm a huge Mickey Mouse fan, and I have been my whole life. So I would 100% be buying Mickey NFTs. I don't know about you, Jenna, but yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
It's really exciting. So Disney launched their NFTs a little bit ago, several months ago, on a platform called Vive. And
yes.
And what was shocking to me is my father, who has never asked me anything about crypto. He's not forward thinking. I love you, Dad, if you're listening, but he's not forward thinking. He is in his 70s and just not into the crypto thing. And he calls me one day and he says, get me a Disney NFT. Oh, and by the way, what's an NFT? And I was like, oh my gosh, my father of all people.
I love that.
Getting into this. And that's what I love is like all these mainstream companies like Disney. I mean, they're pioneers in the, illustration space and in the art space. And they're getting into this space, and it's bringing a whole network of people that normally wouldn't even hear about NFTs now are hearing about NFTs and wanting to get in. It's so exciting. I'm so excited.
Well, and the other thing about that is like once the big names get into the space, then it's just going to make it more and more mainstream. Like people aren't going to be able to, like you hear a lot of naysayers about NFTs that they're like, oh, well, I can just right click and copy that and then I own it. But it's like, no, you don't. And hopefully this will help crypto and NFTs get into the mainstream and people start to understand.
Yes, agreed. Super exciting.
Oh, okay, moving on. So I thought this one was funny. McDonald's is going to open restaurants in the metaverse. Nice. I'm like,
what is it
really? I mean, I don't even remember the last time. Actually, that is a lie. I do remember the last time I went to McDonald's, and I'll tell the story. It's a sad story, but it was to get my dog a hamburger and French fries before was his last meal.
Oh my gosh.
And so when he was a baby, we used to drive across Kansas. I lived in Colorado and I would drive to Kansas, which is where I'm from. And he would not eat on those trips. And so I would always like stop and get him at McDonald's because it was like easy and he would eat a burger. So that was, yeah, I never go to McDonald's, but I did it for him. So
I go to McDonald's too often. I am a fan against what everyone says about McDonald's. I love it. There's nothing better than McDonald's quarter pounder and fries. Oh man.
Their fries though. Yeah, I can. Yeah. So anyway, I thought this was funny that they're going to go into the metaverse. And so now you can go get your Big Mac.
I love it. I'm excited. I will be the first in line. I got to figure out what metaverse they're choosing.
Yeah,
to,
let's see here if it says.
because I need to make
I
sure
do.
I'm on that platform and standing in line for their debut.
Yeah, that's so funny. Okay, so the
Good.
next one you mentioned in
Yeah,
the episode earlier
yeah,
about real estate
yeah.
and
So
NFTs.
it's I've heard so many people being like, oh yeah, real estate, you're going to be able to buy a home as an NFT. And I was like, yeah, that's coming, I'm thinking that's years from now, but like goes to show you how quickly this space is evolving. It's here and this happened, right? So as you can read in the article, someone literally bought a home which was listed as an NFT. So they bought an NFT and the utility attached to it is a home. Like you're treading into new territory here,
Yeah.
even newer territory, and it's just going to get bigger. I know people are buying land up in a lot of these metaverses, and now you can
What?
buy real estate in real life.
Right.
With
That's just it. I mean, everybody acts like it's just pixels on a screen, but it's so much more. There's smart contracts that are tied to NFTs that can do basically, I mean, the ideas are unlimited of the variety of things that you can do with an NFT and the smart contracts. I mean, who would have thought that you could buy a house?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be, I picture a world where 10 years from now that is the norm. We're not buying
Right.
real estate like we used to, where we're submitting these massive documents and signing this and signing that. It is a simple buying the NFT, having it transfer the ownership from wallet to wallet,
Yep.
and now the property is ours. So I see a world where it becomes more efficient, and I see a world where this is becoming the norm. I'm excited.
Yeah. So I had to throw these in because my background is I came from social media. My company is socially powered. And of course, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, they all have to get in on this, right? So YouTube announced that they're getting in the NFT game. And then also Facebook and Instagram announced they're getting in on the NFT game. And I believe they said, I got to find it in here. And Facebook and Instagram are going to provide tools where your users can showcase their NFTs they've created, and then they can also follow other creators, which I'm really not surprised by this with Meta and all the things that they're doing in the metaverse, and just overall not surprised that, of course they have to jump on the NFT bandwagon and get their dollars, right?
Yeah. Pretty soon they're not going to have a choice, right? I think a lot of these companies you're going to see at first it's volunteer. These companies are trying to get ahead, one step ahead from their competitors, but eventually, if you're one of the competitors of Facebook or Instagram, any sort of social site, and you're not in NFTs, I think you're just going to fall way behind. So yeah. It's
well, and I forgot to mention too, Twitter, I don't know how long ago it was, but you can connect your wallet and use like a verified profile picture,
right.
PFP. If you don't know, that's like the Twitter term. But so you can have your profile picture be an NFT that you own and it's verified. That's all we had for the news for today. Is there anything else that you want to be sure to discuss today in this intro to the NiFTy Chicks?
No, I think I'm just really excited to share our obsession and passion with so many incredible listeners, and I see this becoming big. There's a lot of things that we have in our kind of vision roadmap of things that we want to do in the future. Right now, our goal is to get this launched and get the word out. Highlight those women doing incredible things in the space, but the vision and the roadmap that you and I have for the NiFTy Chicks is pretty extensive. So we're talking about creating our own NFTs, our own DAO. And so we're excited to get all of our listeners and viewers involved in kind of what we're doing. I mean, it's not just us kind of producing this show. Is we want everyone to be producing it, and it's for the listeners. So we want them involved.
Oh, something we didn't talk about that I meant to talk about, and that is one of the things that will definitely include our listeners, and that is we're going to do a fun segment called I'd Meant That. And basically what we want you guys to do is to message us, contact us. Either you can email us at chat@theniftychicks.io, or you can, well, obviously we want to make sure that you're connected with us, obviously on YouTube, but also on Twitter and Instagram is where we'll be the most active. But you can find us at the Nifty Chicks. And then what we want you to do is share your projects that you think we would be interested in. Ideally, they're women-led projects. I guess, are we open to men's projects as well, or do we want to keep it strictly women?
There are a lot of women who are maybe behind the scenes on men-led projects who are still crushing it. So I'd say, if there's a female in your life that is supporting you, a female on your team that is supporting you, or a project, like we want to highlight those, even if they're a little bit behind the scenes too.
Yeah, definitely. So send us those projects so that we can take a look at them. What we would do is just bring up all your website, your socials, all that good stuff, and go through kind of the process that we have for what we look at when we're reviewing and deciding if we want to mint a project or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We want to hear it.
So all that being said, we definitely want to make sure that you are subscribed to the Nifty Chicks on YouTube. Hit the bell, of course, so that you are notified when we have new episodes out. I already mentioned it, but I'll say it again. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Nifty Chicks.
Yes, to all of you Nifty Chicks, invest in yourself. You are worth it.
The Nifty Chicks is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information contained in or provided from or through this podcast is not intended to be and does not constitute financial advice, investment advice, trading advice, or any other advice. The information on this podcast provided from or through this website is general in nature and is not specific to you, the user, or anyone else. You should not make any decisions, financial, investment, trading, or otherwise, based on the information presented on this podcast without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or financial advisor. You understand that you are using any and all information available on or through this podcast at your own risk. The trading of Bitcoins, alternative cryptocurrencies, non-fungible tokens has potential rewards, but it also has potential risks involved. Trading may not be suitable for all people. Anyone wishing to invest should seek his or her own independent financial or professional advice.